And let's check those levels. Audio and mic both recording. That's good to see. As before, I'm Ben Rodriguez, aka Bar One Scorpio. That's B as in boy, AR the number 1. Scorpio, SCORPIO. Artist on the webcomic Peter is the Wolf at peteristhewolf.com. I'm also Bar One Scorpio on DeviantArt, LiveJournal, Twitter, furaffinity.net, hentaifoundry.com, and Patreon. I'm not going to mention my Patreon support this time around because I plan to dive into some very... I'm going to plan to revisit a well of stupid that's kind of controversial, and as such, I don't want to drag anybody whose opinions I do not share or who do not share my opinions down with me. Of course, people who do not share my opinions, because my opinions are strictly my own, include Chris Overstreet, the writer on What Peter's the Wolf, at WLPcomics.com, White Lightning Productions, Kevin Sabeta of Palladium Books, and James Desborough of Postmortem Press, basically anyone else who freelances me for artwork, as you can see me working on right now. We're going to dive into some, what I'm calling 5 stupid things about SocJus, and we're going to jump into more of this JJ Talks, the Sequester Zone Flounce saga. As you might recall, the now defunct YouTube channel, Extremely Boring, a feminist channel, deleted her account, and on her flounce accused a male feminist ally, social justice warrior type, Sequester Zone, of sexual harassment, and specifically of sexually harassing another YouTuber named JJ Talks. To which there was no evidence provided, of course. But then again, this is internet feminism we're talking about. This is the presumption of guilt before innocence. Why did I start with that? And he did a hour-long video defending himself, which has now been since pulled down. I actually have basically I'm not sure how many other backups there are, but my response video title, Sequester Zone Flounce, I really have to upload to my YouTube channel for that. There's also a more importantly then of course there was a pair of videos from Zenistrad that I analyzed, and a pair of videos from JJ Talks, which she made the important point that in all this all the shouting going on, no one ever actually asked her if she had actually been harassed. People were so quick to white knight and assume a woman is a victim that they never actually bother to confirm any victimhood, which is the first stupid thing. But let's dim the sound a bit. Okay. And okay, yeah, the music should be a little bit lower. But then there's another 15-minute reply, one by this guy Steve Shives, who is another male feminist, another social justice warrior, a YouTube atheist with a channel of about 50,000 people and 55,000 subscribers, and he did a 16-minute release called Sexual Harassment in the Social Justice Community, which to me actually exemplifies and illustrates a lot of the damn problems within this community and its double standards. And of course, you remember a lot of these people are also the anti-gamergators. These are the people that are always fucking trying to bring in new speech codes and new behavioral codes in all of our fun fandoms. These are the anti-fans.
Posted a video on her channel talking about sexual harassment on YouTube or in social media in general, and specifically as it occurs within the social justice community or the feminist community in these kinds of circles. And what I'm going to say in this video follows very closely on what she says in her video. So if you have not watched JJ's video, please pause this video and go watch her video first before you continue to watch the rest of my video.
Or you can listen to my video where I react to her videos and also look at the... Basically, in my videos, most of these videos are just people talking heads. So, you know, hey, at least with me, you're getting a little drawing action while I'm talking and interrupting the talking heads with my own opinions. This is a critique and review of these opinions, these videos, and the overall arguments. There's a rebuttal to many of the arguments or an expounding of the arguments or of society in general. Basically, I'm using these as this is all fair use that I'm doing this with. And that should have been the lasso.
There's a link to it in the description of this video. I'll put a link on screen as well. Just click it, go watch JJ's video, pause this one, and then come back when you're done. I'll wait.
And he's waiting.
So, now that you've watched JJ's video, you may have had one of several possible reactions. If you are a woman and you watched JJ's video, you may have thought, oh, that's terrible, we need to do something about this. Or it's very likely, it's sadly likely, that a lot of you watched JJ's video if you're a woman and you said, that same thing has happened to me. I know exactly what she's talking about. She speaks for me when she talks about experiencing sexual harassment online, especially in what are supposed to be safe areas.
And this would be going back to what I refer to as, in honor of Micromedia, Micro's clown horn. If you watch his video, Free Thought Blogs and the Creepy Clown Horn, he refers to the behavior of his pet dogs that would roll around, and of course, in dead animals and feces and stuff. Not because particularly like the smell, but because that will allow them to close in on their prey. It's a hunting instinct, right? And for Michael's clown horn, I posit that yes, this is the same behavior. He kind of posits this is the same behavior that a lot of these victimist groups, especially feminism, do this. Will wrap themselves in victimhood or in allegiance to victims in order to get close in on victims. Or at least this is my interpretation of it. What you have, people, is if JJ talks stories to be believed, she's presented no evidence particularly to support her claims as of this recording, or at least that I had seen. She'd done a couple of videos discussing about, but she also just said that she didn't want to name her attackers, and then said that, oh, they were because they're bigger in the community, and it's a very sordid story, essentially, but it fits the fucking narrative, the notion that these people will go into a group to get access to victims, or they're blind to the way they victimize others in a very hypocritical fashion because they view themselves as a special anointed class because they speak, they talk the talk, even if they don't particularly walk the walk.
If you're a man, you may have also had one of several different reactions, or maybe multiple reactions.
You might have been sexually harassed yourself at some point, or had unwelcome advances made towards you by the bipolar, borderline personality disorder ladies of social justice, and of course, him being a male feminist, Steve here won't likely give a damn about what happened to you. Hell, they still shitlord the Amazing Atheist constantly accusing him of being an MRA when he's loudly declaring that he's not, simply because he's pointed out because on his day jobs in the past he had been sexually harassed and not taken seriously.
You may have thought, oh my god, that's terrible, we need to do something about this.
Always the urge to do something about this. That is the one friggin' problem. That's one of the problems. That's one of these, I think, 5 stupid things. The do something disorder, the do something itis, the need to pass a law, hold a fundraiser for nobody in particular, or not, but at least it'll line the coffers of the fundraisers. the won't somebody think of the children, because God knows what you can't allow happen is for a person to stand on their own two damned feet. And this was a big problem that I don't think that JJ Talks had alluded to, in that nobody asked her if she had actually been sexually harassed by Sequester Zone, but also nobody asked or assumed that she would be able to handle this shit on her own. Admittedly, she's a young girl, college, typical like high school or college student age appearingly. The Animu rainbow-colored hair doesn't help her look mature at all. But if she's anywhere near adulthood, she certainly should be learning to handle her life with all the capability of an adult. And this is where many anti-feminists and many male feminists and many feminists depart in opinion. Anti-feminists are more likely to regard adults, people who've hit the age of 18, as adults, or at least capable of handling their shit, capable of owning their lives, and capable of showing some initiative on their own. Meanwhile, social justice builds itself around... Social justice builds itself around assuming people can't, on the assumption that people can't do it, especially not without government support, without a hand up and a hand out. They make the assumption that people are incapable of overcoming, likewise that people are incapable of coming together unless the government is there to force them. You might have noticed that I am strictly libertarian in many of my life views, possibly because I trend towards viewing the best in people. I tend to believe that, yeah, people are generally weak. People are generally actually strong. Not generally weak, but they can show, even if the weak ones can often show strength, they can learn to overcome if you just, give them the opportunity. But they're rarely for equality of opportunity in social justice. They're for an equivalence of outcome, which means redistribution of assets, of redistribution of wealth.
You may have thought, oh shit, I've done things like what JJ describes.
Okay, I wasn't going to go there. You might have said, I was not assuming that you'd have people pillaring themselves automatically and saying, wait, I might be the bad guy, or shit, oh, I am even the bad guy because I know, and I've been keeping this secret all the time, this whole time, that I've been evil. Wow. I was joking on the JJ Talks video on how the phone call was coming, clearly the phone call was coming from within the room. But this is that heading a whole new level. If Steve is willing to make this assumption about other white knights, other male feminist allies, or male allies to feminism, you can't call yourself a male feminist. That's the weird part. If you're a guy, you can only call yourself an ally, like a auxiliary utility, like a pack mule.
You may have thought, oh shit, I am one of the actual people JJ is talking about, who has done these things to her personally. Or you may have had a reaction like I had, which was to be very jarred by it.
Admittedly, I wasn't when this all happened. This was more of just shit confirming my, admittedly, confirmation bias, confirming my preconceived notions. And maybe this is all just a bunch of psychological projection from a deep, dark part of me. But, or at least maybe I can smell my own. But if a person starts to view their own, if a person starts out with their only view of self-worth as that which is granted by others, specifically that which is granted by women, because you have an entire media telling you to rescue the princess, and you have an entire political system made up of princesses telling you to rescue them, to do more for women, and you'll be appreciated, and you're going to be one of the good guys. And then they convince themselves that they are one of the good guys. It gives them the built-in excuse to do whatever the fuck they please. There's always you might have noticed that for the political class, there often are, or people who view themselves as being in politics, there's often a definite, there's a rules for the little people and a rules for me sensibility. And here we have it playing out.
Certainly cannot say that I am surprised by the things that she talks about in that video. I suppose I just assumed that these sorts of things happen to women on the internet, and they happen to men too. I don't want to say that men are never sexually harassed, because they are.
So nice of Steve's to finally come around to admitting that a couple of minutes into this. I'm surprised he got there at all, but I'll point out that he goes on. He pushes on about the victimization of women, that, oh, this shouldn't be happening. Well, A, it's a big place. It's a wild west of free speech. But, of course, it's going to be coming from within the enemy camp.
Actually, after JJ posted her video and I shared it with my Facebook friends, a really good male friend of mine from the atheist community, he doesn't move so much in social justice circles, but he contacted me privately to tell me about a time that he was sexually harassed by a woman in much the same way that JJ describes being harassed by men in her video. He was sent just unsolicited, unasked for, unwelcome, sexually provocative photos, and was, sent really sexually explicit messages, and it put him in a very awkward position, and he did not like it at all. And so I don't want to say that it never happens to men, because it does, and it shouldn't be done by anybody, period.
But there is an assumption of a double standard, that guys are supposed to be grateful for, whatever is broken off for them. Wait, where the hell did... Oh, that's why. Fucking hell. Can't believe that happened. Overshot the grains.
It's not something that you should do. As a general rule, you should not be making unwanted, unsolicited sexual advances to other people, period. And it really breaks my fucking heart that I have to say that.
Okay, well, here's another stupid thing about social justice warriors, or at least Steve Shives. The truth is, it's not until you make the banter, it's not until you start trying to chat up the birds that you'll really know whether or not it's welcome or unwelcome. So it'll have to be, on the initial contact phase at least, you should be mature enough to grant another human being a mulligan, given that everyone has to make the initial approach, test the waters, and let them know that yes, sexual desire is there. I don't think any of us would even be here if somebody at some point hadn't been willing to make the first move. And because men are taught to face rejection, put a brave face on it, and step up to the women, well, then, they're going to be getting they're going to be getting shot down a lot. They're going to have a lot of disinclined people that they are interested in who are not interested in them. Of course, now in the modern era, with the harassment paranoia, even these initial attempts at contact, if they're not very well managed by people who are socially awkward or totally shy, or have been instructed in the wrong memes, societal norms, thanks to, often the media, that media that caters to women, then they'll fucking come off as, then they'll get called a creep. You know, they'll be creep shamed, or they'll be called, you know, any number of things. But guys have to make that risk, so yeah.
You would think that would be common sense, but apparently I do have to say that. Apparently there are people that need to hear that were absent that day in fucking school.
Or they just thought that they had a plenary indulgence to behave however the hell they want to, because they had sworn allegiance to the proper flag before setting out to ask a girl for a photograph of her boobs.
I guess. Another friend of mine commented on my share of JJ's video saying, you know, I don't remember my parents ever sitting me down and saying, all right, son, it's time to teach you a very important lesson. When you're talking to a woman who you don't have that kind of a relationship with or that kind of an understanding with, don't tell her that now you're going to go off and think about her while you masturbate. That's not cool. You shouldn't do that.
Point being that actually I'd fap to that, or various internet jokes. That is a meme, basically, invocation. It's a bumbling invocation, and it's often probably not to be taken seriously, given the number of things that people will say that they will fap to. Hey, I just, you know, cooked up this side of bacon. Or, hey, this is my new monster truck. You know, the joke being that people will masturbate to anything at some point to that is sufficiently epic or whatever. Then again, given that she didn't exactly say the specifics of what the person who had said, didn't say, oh, I had an erotic dream about you or something, or didn't say, you know, that the person specifically said, yeah, I'm going to jerk off tonight and I'm going to be thinking of you when I do it. So we really don't have the specifics. We have just a vague accusation from JJ Talks, which doesn't help to assess the wider situation. Are people actually doing this as a campaign to unsettle her, or did people sound off with the standard issue puerile internet humor and it fell flat?
And yet, even though he was never taught that lesson, he's never fucking done that. Because he's a decent person who respects other people and respects boundaries and understands that you can't just do that to people. That it makes people uncomfortable. That it makes people feel embarrassed. It makes people feel used and dehumanized.
Depending on their level of camaraderie. And that's the thing. You can also add another layer of confusion to. Can't you? It's pretty damned easy for a bunch of people who are joking all around all night and possibly saying inappropriate things into other respects to carry it one further. Unfortunately, yeah, I don't have and I'll admit, I don't have the actual documents of all these conversations. That's in their browser history, not mine. I mean, I hardly knew of these people until I started really paying attention to some of the MGTOWs, MRAs, and Red Pillars in general, of who they were up against and who they were and whose videos they were debunking and fisking. Rotate that, because I think the oak is going to go this way. But it should be interesting that when these guys are saying, oh, yeah, I didn't have to be told to do not to tell girls that I'd masturbate to them and whatnot. And I didn't. Well, why the fuck is this happening on your side? And why is there so much projection that this must be happening on the anti-feminist side? Because because my law right now, Bar One's law, is negative feminist assertions regarding masculine behavior stem solely from their experiences with white knight mangina male allies. That's basically what I've managed to carry away from this bullshit. this incident, and probably a lot of and others like other videos, watching these guys declare themselves to be the good guy, or using childish methods to mock non-feminists or anti-feminists. This is why, like, feminist videos, when women come up and say, "This is how to be a good feminist. This is how you're supposed to be a feminist." Basically, they're just telling male allies to sit down and shut the fuck up. Because the guys that are the lapdogs of feminists tend to be the most embarrassing guys out there that can be called. And unfortunately, those are the only guys that are going to be hanging around with these girls, these ladies by and large, because most guys have a decent bullshit or a decent insanity radar. And if you have one male influence in your life telling you never to stick your dick in the crazy, and you come across the standard issue campus feminist, you're going to avoid that like the plague, because you know that shit ain't mellow. That is not going to be a chill girl.
So he doesn't do it. He's never done it one time. And I believe him when he says that, because I've never done it one time either. It's not that fucking hard.
Profess yourself to be the nice guy, but
from being
we don't have that evidence, do we?
Sexually gross to people that you don't have that kind of a relationship with. If you're talking with someone and you guys have sort of worked up an understanding where you have that kind of a rapport, you have that relationship, maybe you have a flirtation going that is mutual and appreciated by both people, and you send each other pictures or you talk sexy to each other or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's completely fine. But you don't just drop it into a conversation.
And because we don't actually have the drop of the conversation, we don't really have who dropped this and if it was just dropped off or if there was that rapport. He's making a lot of assumptions because in his effort to declare himself the one mighty white knight good guy out there. And this is also another part of the problem, because in our tournament species, some guys' only strategy with women is to put down other men and loudly declare themselves to be not that guy, even if they are secretly. In fact, for the guys who are that guy, loudly declaring the other guys to be that guy while you're not that guy is a very like a boffo, as we can see from what happened here. This is just top level strategy, tactics
that it's never been a part of before. And you certainly don't use your position as a member of a social justice community or a feminist community where you're sort of assumed to be a safe, trustworthy person, and maybe you even have a YouTube channel that has a lot more subscribers than other people in your community. You certainly don't use those things as leverage or as weapons, tools to manipulate people in order to get into this kind of a relationship with them, in order to sexually harass them and think, well, you know, my position in the community will protect me, or maybe because I am who I am, maybe they'll be more likely to open up to me or to share these sorts of things with me. Maybe if I ask this girl who only has a few subscribers and I have thousands and thousands of subscribers, maybe she'll be flattered by the attention. Maybe if I ask her to send me some dirty pictures of her, she'll do it because, you know, wow.
Which is a good rundown of a lot of rock music. This is why guys go into music. This is why guys in college pick up a shitty acoustic guitar and start playing folk music. And you can always tell those guys who are only in it for the pussy.
Look who's asking me. If you've ever done that, if you've ever actually done that, I find it really difficult to think of you as anything other than a piece of shit. I just find it unconscionable.
See how good I am.
It's bad enough,
Jesus,
that the atheist community has the problem with women that it has, which it undeniably has.
Which was brought about by Atheism Plus, which was the social justice crew saying that it was not enough to, you know, simply be a skeptic in regards to the supernatural. You also had to buy wholeheartedly into a new religion, i.e. feminism.
And please do not send me stupid comments saying, oh, the atheist community is not as bad for women, blah, blah, blah. The reason why there aren't nearly as many outspoken female atheists as there are male atheists. Maybe not the only reason, but a very large reason is that women, and I know this because lots of women have told me this, and because I've heard other women in the atheist community or right on the edge of the atheist community write about it and talk about it enough that I've kind of just accepted that it's a fact. They don't just feel as though their point of view is unwelcome. They don't just feel as though they are unwelcome in the conversation, that it's a boys' club.
That it is for people who are into science and not into politics. And that was a problem with Atheism Plus. It was an effort, it was a concerted effort to directly inject politics into the realm of atheism. And it basically helped kill the atheist community. The James Randi Educational Fund and likewise are nowhere near what they used to be. In the wake of Atheism Plus, of the Atheism Plus schism.
They often feel like they're not safe. Like if they enter into the atheist community, that they will not just be, you know, talked down to or
Well, here's me doing a little bit more talking down. You are literally talking about a feeling that it is up to another person to have mastery over. Their own confidence upon entering the door is up to them, not to any outsider. Not to anyone, because no one can make a person who is not predisposed to feeling safe feel safe. They're always going to be checking under the bed for spiders, you know. And that's what's so embarrassing about this. Many of the things that are so embarrassing about what happened.
Marginalized, but that they might be sexually harassed. Or if they go to a conference, who knows, maybe even worse. That's a very real concern for people. It's a very real fear that people have, and I think it's a legitimate one. And I think it's something that we, as atheists in the atheist community, need to address. But as bad as that is, it's even worse to know that that sort of thing happens in the feminist community, in the social justice community, and according to AJ and according to other people,
My God, men asking for women if they'd like to go upstairs for a cup of coffee at 4 a.m. in an elevator of all horrifying enclosed places. Shit. Guys are gonna have to look up the Thunderfoot videos on Elevator Gate on the Atheism Plus Schism, and basically Thunderfoot did a series of videos, and so did Micro, on exactly how all this political bullshit injected into what was primarily an apolitical group intended strictly just for intellectual interest, basically drove it into the ground. I mean, I've seen the far left kill off the sci-fi fandom by creating a hostile environment. I've seen the open source and maker environment. They're about to start doing this shit to the maker environment. Right now they're trying to invade anime, and while the Tumblrinas can have their day, it's not a long-lasting thing, because at the end of the day, they're trying to tell people not to engage in things like acts of cultural appropriation to a fandom that's all about another culture, which is just the tip of the iceberg on their idiocy.
Female friends of mine who I've spoken to since AJ posted her video, a lot of the people doing this, a lot of the guys doing this, are people who have spoken out against that very sort of behavior in public, who have posted videos,
Well, let me tell you, Bill Clinton, as your former president, I can tell you confidently that I speak out against going on the campaign trail and inviting a busted woman back to your hotel room and then dropping trowel right in front of her. Sure, I did it, but I'm now speaking out against it because I always spoke out against it, even though I did it, pretty damn clearly. This is not a new phenomenon in the left.
Facebook statuses, tweeted shit on Twitter about how horrible it is, how sexism is a terrible thing, and bullying and intimidation and sexual harassment of women by men is just awful and needs to stop. And they do that very same sort of thing themselves.
It's literally the wolf pulling open the jacket to display all the lollipops, you know. Look at me, I'm such a nice guy, aren't I? I'm saying all the right things. I support you, yes? You're safe with me, little Red Riding Hood. Ah, fuck it. You know, at least when people see the tits on my goddamn booth, they know what they're stepping in for. You can either join Project Mayhem, or you can walk away. I will not hold a grudge against any people, but when you want to... Now, the only people I hold a grudge against are the people like Steve here who kind of want to shut down fucking Project Mayhem, and the internet feminists and tumblerinas who are out to fuck over the video game community, the anime community.
It is absolutely unacceptable. It is absolutely unacceptable.
But they keep on accepting it.
Video, it sucks,
so it's basically just talk.
And I don't know how much power I have.
50,000 more viewers than I got.
Subscribers, which is not a lot, but relative to some folks, I guess, is a lot. I wish I had more now.
Only the number of clicks the size of a small city,
specifically
bro.
When something like this comes up, I really wish I had more influence in this community. I wish I had a louder
I'm sure you're
voice
still not as big
so
as
that when I
Stargun
spoke
of
about
COD,
this, it would be heard to more people,
you know,
and maybe it would
that's
carry
only
more
because
weight
he
with some
bases
people,
it.
because
You don't
I'm
base your
telling you,
shit
if
facts.
you are one of the guys who has harassed JJ or any other woman in this community.
And here's another part of the problem. When you just say harassment, I mean, damn it. The jocularity or the we're going to get all drunk and stream and just talk shit. Well, the thing is harassment is nowadays in the eye of the beholder, in the ear of the listener. It is up to the determination of the person who takes offense. So you either walk around on eggshells around a bunch of people, blue-haired, borderline personality disordered tumblerinas, or you stop giving a fuck about what they think and actually throw all in for the concept of free speech. That's what I decided to do a while ago. And and the bar has been so far lowered as to what can be considered harassment in the modern day that the term has almost become completely meaningless, which is a fucking shame. Most corporate policies take it down to the level of anything that contributes to a hostile working environment. Now, try to fucking quantify another person's feelings when the first thing they're supposed to do is, instead of hash it out mano-y-mano, which is also what JJ talks and Steve and Sequester Zone and Steve here nobody apparently did, was, or I can't any of these guys did, was they fucking take it to, in the corporate world, they'll take it to HR. They'll have other people complain, and they'll just scuttle another person's career over this. And as I've made the point before, I mean, you know, whether it's the guy bringing in a lad mag, like Maxim or something, and some woman takes offense, or the granny coming in with that copy of 50 Shades of Grey, and we all know what the hell goes on in that book, and ew. Either one of those could if you're not a tight-knit group, or if you're already a very suspicious group, both those could be considered contributing to a hostile working environment. Or you could be an adult, realize that other people are going to be different from you, and focus on your shit.
You're not my friend. And I don't want to be your friend.
I never want to be
I'm not on your side. I'm not in your club. I'm not going to...
Except you are in that club, Steve. Holy shit, you could, at this point, you'd have to figure out a new fucking club and individually vet every single member in order to not have this shit going on in your club. Let me see. Oh, this is what I want. Pixelate. Yeah, there we go. Color halftone.
to take up for you. So if you've done this sort of thing, if I were you, I would make amends. I would make amends and I would stop it immediately. You have no right to sexually harass people. And again, I feel so stupid for having to say that. But I have to say it. It needs to be said. Apparently, some people need to hear it.
Now, let me tell you what I did as governor of Arkansas, young man,
you are a guy
because I don't have to take this from a plebe.
Does not mean that you have a right to treat people this way. And it doesn't mean that other people are under some sort of obligation to respond to your advances the way you might want them to, or to react to you the way that you want them to, or to view your statements or your actions or your treatment of them in the best, most flattering light to you possible. You are owed nothing. My friend Soretta Yuki, who
and so are the people that this is supposedly happening to.
I'm Facebook friends with him as well. He posted something on Facebook a couple of days ago, actually, coincidentally, had nothing to do with this particular topic. But he said, if you're a guy, imagine that you have a daughter, and imagine that your daughter is dating someone exactly like you. Are you okay with that? If you're not okay with that, then you have work to do. You have work to do on you. Not on your daughter, not on anybody else, but on you. You should be that kind of person.
And
you should be able to be friends.
People that would be doing this also are viewing themselves as not being the bad ones. So they wouldn't have that problem, would they? And also, once again, thank you for a glaring statement of the lack of feminine autonomy. Anybody's daughter should be able to free to date and free to make love to whoever they see fit, to whoever catches their eye. Just leave it up to them to pick up the fucking messy pieces, if there are any. And you're also talking about a world where so much of the population is raised by single parents that, I mean, really, are we getting single mothers? Are we even going to have a father around to worry about who the daughter is dating, or has that guy been driven out of the place long ago by the don't need no man feminist on welfare?
Friends with people, and to be a safe person, and to be someone that people feel like they can trust. And it's really not that hard. Believe me, it's really not that hard to refrain from sexually harassing people. It's really not that hard to be a friend, and to be relaxed, and to be cool, and to be fun, and to have relationships, and even to have flirtations with people, if it's mutual, if it's consent.
But that's the thing. You don't know it is mutual or not mutual until it is not. So if you're trained, if your culture demands that you make the first move, because women will rather buy cats and have fur babies instead of actually making the first move, or letting somebody know in a direct manner about their interest, well then yeah, there's going to be various stumbling blocks. And I'm not saying that any of these incidences were that. These could have been just utter skeezes. But then again, these would be the utter skeezes that are attracted to this mentality. Image.
If it's something that both people enjoy. And it's really not that hard to refrain from sexually harassing people. It has not been a challenge for me in my life. I don't feel like I'm bragging when I say that. I shouldn't sound like I'm bragging when I say I've never been accused of sexual harassment by somebody. Because I've never given anyone a reason to accuse me of those things. And it has not been a challenge.
That you know of.
It's just been a matter of treating people with decency and respect, and respecting their boundaries. I mean, it really is just the most disappointing thing to me in the world to hear about this. And it frustrates me, and
it's hilariously, I assumed this was normal for you guys.
It angers me to know that it happens to friends of mine, to people who I'm close with, and I really
Not saying it's not sad.
Consider
not saying
friends.
It doesn't make me angry, but shit. When you go out into the world to look at everyone else as the bad guy, when you're looking continuously for the evil without, you will rarely focus on the evil within. And that's what social justice is all about. Social justice is about creating others that it is completely okay to focus your threat narrative hatred against, because they're shitlords. They're at the top of that, or the villain. They're the villains of the progressive stack, aren't they? The hatred for the so-called 1%ers. And why? When you found your life's philosophy on envy, like social cultural Marxists do, like social justice is, you're not going to get good results. You're not going to bring in good people. Steve, no matter what you think of yourself, if you can't go without making a video about how awful people that you perceive as having more and undeserving of what they have, which is kind of what you do, and you certainly bash people of faith and assume yourself to be better because you don't because you signed off of the announced religions, and yet are whole cloth, pardon Pulsa, obviously clearly drunk the goddamn Kool-Aid on another religion. No shit, this is who you're going to have all the way down eternally as part of your parcel of your party. Owning your shit can be one of the hardest things to do. It's fascinating that Karen Strawn titles her blog is possibly one of the best titles for a goddamn blog out there, owning your shit, because so few people actually intend to or are willing to. And that's why we have this culture that we're currently set upon with. And that's why your movement specifically attracts this. It's not going to get better because you went out of the way to shitload a few extra guys and create to focus on some new bad thinkers. Because you still set up two societal standards for the anointed and the wretched scum that you assume that you're better than, that are different than you, that you assume that are an outlier group that is different from you somehow.
It tears me up that they have to go through this. And that some of the people putting them through this are people that should be their friends and should be their allies and should be standing next to them and standing up for them instead of harassing.
Why should they stand up for them? Wait, Steve, you're automatically telling people that these people should have been there to white knight for them? Holy shit. This is something that people should have been felt free to. I mean, JJ should have the confidence, and she probably does. I don't know her specifically, but, the young and modern woman should feel free. And she, even though in her videos she talks about how guilty she felt, the thing that guilted her, Steve, the thing that didn't make her come forward in a louder fashion, the thing that she says that didn't make her name names, is that she wanted to do good by the party. And it's your sense of socialism first. It's your senses, your sense of groupthink first, the group first mentality that leaves these women vulnerable. By JJ's own fucking words, Steve, she didn't want to come forward because she didn't want to hurt the movement. Because she was afraid that if she came out against someone more popular than her, that it would be bad, that would be impolitic. You created a fucking drone in this girl. So of course she would let herself be victimed until the only thing that made her come forward about her own victimization, mind you, was the false accusations against someone who was innocent, but which admittedly was incredibly courageous of her. But I also still haven't heard you fucking defend sequester zone in this, which is interesting. Yeah, this shouldn't happen, but holy shit, you completely gloss over. Hey, and here's another one of the stupid things about social justice. You completely gloss over false accusations. You let the false accuser walk away scot-free.
Passing them. It is utterly contemptible. And there is no excuse for it. And I'm telling you,
false accusations
if you are one of the people doing this, you need to stop. You need to apologize. You need to make amends with whoever you've done it to.
And I think I've noticed this. Yes, you spent this entire fucking video talking about how this shouldn't be happening to girls or guys. But you also didn't flip the other side of the coin there, Steve. You didn't say at all that nobody should have a false accusation levied at them as some part of some stupid high school level, junior high, goddamn E-drama either, which is just as bad. Because there you're directly, some shithead, some morons could harass somebody. Or some just desperate, thirsty individual could make unwelcome advances, and it would rarely do more than briefly put a cloud over someone's day. But what fucking extremely boring did, she attempted to destroy another human being's reputation, a man's reputation, which is often one of the few things we have. And you still haven't addressed concern for that. And I doubt I'll ever see a video on your series stream where you do discuss false accusation. Although I'll point out that on Sargon of Akkad's series, new channel, Ancient Recitations, he recently read out the laws of Hammurabi.
You need to never do it again. I cannot imagine the constant disappointment that women in this community must experience when they
I can't believe the level of men that is all they can attract. That's pretty fucking sad. This is why Bar One's law exists, because the only guys that are thirsty enough to go to that, to go to these would-be dominatrixes who found themselves around a political theory that a political religion, a belief. Remember, they always say that feminism is a belief, and it really just needs to stop there. They don't need to go in any further. It's a belief structure. It's a religion, and part of that, the Satan of their religion, is what's known as patriarchy theory. The notion that these men are evil. So what kind of guy is going to wade into that, except for an extremely codependent individual?
They meet a male YouTuber or person on Twitter or whatever, and they start to think of this person as a friend. They think of them as an ally. They think of them as someone they like to talk to, maybe someone they go to for advice, maybe someone that just has a larger audience than they have, or has more influence or more friends than they have in the community, and they would just like to know, just purely for networking purposes.
Star fucking. Nepotism. A great movement then.
Just to be able to contact them if they need anything, or if they need to ask a question or whatever. And then to go through something like this, to have that person go from someone who is a friend and someone who is trusted to someone who would try to take advantage of them. When it's...
Maybe that's why you often see these left-wing political policy wonks coming up with all these codes of what is considered harassment and all the different ways to recognize it, is because they know from experience this is exactly what they're doing. They're literally listing out when they talk about quid pro quo and the I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine in this community. Or this company underneath this glass ceiling or whatever. It's because they're just listing off the shit that they've done.
Clear that they really should know better. I cannot tell you how disappointed I am about this, and how angry I am about this, and how much I wish that there was something that I as an individual could do to stop it.
Quit sending your daughters to colleges filled with bored English lit professors who are looking to sleep with their TAs. Seriously, that's why so many of these novels are about bored college professors who find new leases on life when they sleep with their students.
But there's nothing that I as an individual can do to completely stop it. All I can do is speak out and plant my flag and say,
I'm the good guy. Believe me, trust me. Just like you trusted.
Hi, everybody. So
other
yesterday,
guys that were saying that they were planting their flag and that they were the good guy.
And it's bigger than that. It's not just about someone sexually harassing one woman on YouTube or Facebook or whatever. It's about
your precious rape culture theory, where you talk about how the whole society is sinful and evil and decadent, and they must reform lest the apocalypse or something. Shit, they are a religion. They have their own fucking devil. They have their great Satan. They have their apocalypse. They are Islam.
The fact that this happens all the time to people that I know, that you know, and to people that are watching this.
And it never occurs to you to question the base theories, does it? Instead, you just continuously double down. You Scientology harder. You go for OT3.
And that it is perpetrated by people that I know, and you know, and who are watching.
The senator has a list of possible harassers that may be walking among you this very minute.
Watching this. That's the problem. And whatever I can do to stop it, I'm going to do. I cannot permit this. I cannot stand by. I cannot stand by while my friends suffer, while my friends are harassed and bullied. And whatever little thing I can do to stop it, to fight it, I will do. And I would urge all of you watching to do the same thing.
And I'll tell you what, I'll be in the same place, right beside you, or at least hanging out, collecting a $100,000 check in the green room. And why don't you send that girl up here to me for a little one-on-one discussion, private-like. I mean, you can trust me, former president of the United States of America. There's certainly no lessons to be learned here by my past behavior. I tell you, I'm reformed. Hillary has killed my ability to have an erection ever again. And my own daughter is, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind her dating a guy like me the way I am now, all grizzled and old and rich. Let me actually see if I got any replies. Oh, Rufus. Okay, so you're on Skype now too. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to try and figure out ways to record Skype so I can actually analyze these things. But now that video is over, let me dive into the chat. Oh, Kato and Rufus. Boom. Kato right now feels like one of the corpses in the housing block at the beginning of Dread. Oh my god, that sounds pretty uncomfortable. Yeah, I mean, if the audio was coming along clearly, then you guys were hopefully able to hear what I was hearing fairly well. And that was... it's one of the Steve Shives videos of this. And I did 2 parts of videos, and I gotta put those videos, these 2-hour-long form vids, on my damned YouTube channel, too, to preserve them and hopefully get them a bit more exposure in the outer community, in the outer manosphere, because, God, this whole thing, the whole incident, as irksome as it is, was so damned indicative of what goes on. You know, when you assume so much of it is exterior, or you externalize, just you project, and that's one thing that the feminist community seems to have in abundance, is the projection. Time to support you, man. And I think I've got a video, Spinosaurus Kin clued me into this video, and it's pretty damn bad. But it's also, there's so many things that are indicative when they make their videos, and how they misrepresent other people kind of tells you a lot about themselves. And this is why I'm not going to just mouth off. I'm talking, I play the whole video through, I fisk it. And this is why fisking has become a thing on the right. You know, let's copy the entire article line for line, go by it blow by blow, as we come up with new thoughts to react to what's being said. And of course, we see these fisking videos now that people are doing. People like Dr. Random Cam and Spinosaurus Kin, of course, does his entire straw man's rights activist. Or Straw Man's Rights Activist series, and a bunch of others, and you have the New Kid and Sargon Khan and stuff. And one of the hallmarks is going through and not cherry picking, not editing around, and also always leaving a link to the original video, rather than saying, "Oh, this is a person and this is what they said," and putting words in making ad hominem attacks, making straw man arguments, and then freaking literally just putting words in other people's mouths. I mean, I may go in and interpret, but you're going to at least hear me reacting, giving me my off-the-cuff reactions to other people and what they're saying. Because why not? It's at least, look here, I'm almost done with this page. I'm almost done with page 206, guys. You know I'm getting shit done in the book. Probably the next couple of nights I'll do an adults-only stream where I won't be tackling this stuff, because it'll probably just be a big old music stream with the thump music as I Picardo out a session and get some adults only pages done. So ever important, because they're still back at page 202. We're 4 pages behind the clean pages, but at least I'm getting these damn pages done, and you guys are getting your books and other stuff too. I've got so many damned ideas that I gotta get drawn, but right now there's a bunch of stuff I gotta do for Palladium and whatnot. Been trying to figure out what you meant when you noted me, Ben. Rufus, what sucked for him was when he was dragged into GG. I was friends with the girl who made the game. I used to be a fan of hers when she was doing cosplay porn. Oh, yeah, also, if you guys have any quotes or anything to say on these things, I'll also read off your comments or witticism as I play through, or if you want to correct me, I'll also read that out from the chat. And when she was doing cosplay porn, I'm not sure who you're talking about, but it's kind of funny because one of the things going on, let's see, Anna Cherry on Top is her pornonym and her Twitter handle. She's one of the Honey Badger radio crew, and she's a cosplay deviant art model, cosplay deviance model. She is she did a cosplay, and she's part of Honey Badger Radio. She did a cosplay of Vivian James, a naughty bikini themed Vivian James as well, and she was pointing out. It's kind of funny. There's a couple of there's Mercedes XXX and frickin' Anna Cherry on Top, who are both pro GGers. And what should be noted is she was talking about on Honey Badger Radio. Anna was talking about the Suicide Girls and was going on with that thing that they were going through recently with the guy. It was some artist making prints and selling them at egregious prices, and it was basically he was just stealing Instagram photos, printing them on canvas, selling them like $90,000, and one of them was a photo of the founder of the Suicide Girls. And as Anna was pointing out, Suicide Girls are a really lousy deal. You have to submit your own photos, but you only have to submit like 60 of them or something. But even still, you don't get paid unless you make the front page, and it's up to you pretty much to do all your own damn promotion. So you got a lot of women on there who aren't really paid for the porn, and there's also exclusivity and non-competition contracts. Clauses in the contract. So if you're appearing on them, I guess you can't appear on other sites. Oh God, Roof, you know Zoe Quinn. I met her when according to Rufus, I met her when I went to Anime Expo. She's an amazing woman. She was my personal favorite Naruto girl cosplayer. She did Karin, but she is quite smart. Well, yeah, she's making pretty good bank on this stuff. Being the false center of this. You know what? I think we got the old term for crazy like a fox. But yeah, we also know that there's so much. Honestly, the fact that she was a Naruto cosplayer doesn't improve things in my eyes for her. Because, god damn it, I remember what that community was like years ago when it was the big, huge thing. And, then it would just be like so much of this, shit falling into place. Really, isn't it? Cosplayers, of course this began with them. But yeah, so, damn, you actually, you actually knew literally who. Of course, I tend to divorce myself emotionally from a lot of the stuff because you can still be a fairly decent human being and still do a lot of stupid things. It's only when you want your stupidity to be policy that you kind of write yourself off as the bad guy in my book. But it's also so much of this began because really, wasn't it? People are thinking that, I guess, cosplay girls thinking that because they're pretty, a different set of rules applies to them, right? Rufus says, I think the fact that I treated her like a normal person when I met her, and Squeaks, the girl who cosplayed as Saris Victoria, they were stunned I talked to them normally and didn't seem to be only into their bodies and was more interested in getting to know them as people. That must really surprise women then at conventions, because I'm usually typically only interested in what's in their wallet. And honestly, I tend to ignore the goddamn cosplayers at this point because... Yeah, this page is done. Yay! I'll literally only snap a photo and maybe get them posing if they've got like an original costume or something, you know, that I want reference of for a drawing, maybe, if I can ever get to these damn EGL drawings and whatnot I'd like to do. Yes, Rufus, I am a capitalist pig dog. And this is why I can't even hit on girls, because I then get into this weird headspace where if a girl is a fan of mine, I certainly can't take her up to my room and, you know, do the deed with her. I can't bang her, certainly, if she's giving me money for like a t-shirt or like a, which is also if you're a girl, and I always give this advice out, if you're a girl and you find me kind of skizzy and would rather me not hit on you, buy something from me, because that would, the fact that you're giving me money would make any transaction or any further altercation or interaction way too awkward if it took on a sexual connotation. I get into this bizarre headspace of wait, would that be prostitution? And certainly, like, and then of course, if I did go up to take a girl up to my room and she had bought some stuff off of me, I'd have this bizarre urge to give her her money back if we had sex, because my God, I just had sex with a human being. I can't take money off of them. This shouldn't be something between friends, not professional. And then of course, then I'm thinking, wait, but then didn't she just fuck me for a t-shirt? How the hell do I say that? And so of course, obviously the whole situation, which is ironic, because I did this to excel at something in the traditional tournament model of our species, to attract women to me. But I literally can't get into the headspace where I can just outright just fuck a fan. I wish I could bang some of the ones I know. Hell, I'm an ugly man. I was told one time I'm the permanent friend zone or big brother role. Oh God, that's fucking that's awful, Rufus. You know what? Here's the thing. I really hate the friend zone concept so much. I also hate it when women go like, "There's no such thing as a friend zone," or if you complain about the friend zone, then you're a bad friend. It is, or what if I tell, or like the Morpheus one is funny, whereas the what if I told you that the friend zone is just for guys who are treating girls like they should be, you know, a vending machine that dispenses vagina and shit. And actually, no. The reason why guys get pissed off about the friend zone is because women are such lousy friends. I mean, undeniably, think about your guy friends and the shit they've done, the lengths they've gone through in the name of friendship for you over the years. And my God, this page isn't done at all. I mean, wow. This has got our work cut out for us, guys. One of the boats code, why can't I find a guy I like? I am right fucking here! It pissed me off. No shit, Rufus. And here's the thing, Rufus. Irrational self-confidence will always get you further with women than any realistic assessment of yourself. You've got to become the salesman of yourself. Just remember what Neil deGrasse Tyson has to say about love. Just look for the hashtag Tyson on love on Twitter, and you'll find the quotes of that great man. Because, and it's kind of funny because I'm always open about. See, here's what I've mentioned this in other podcasts. I go with what I call the GTO method, the great teacher Onizuka. Let them know that you're a pervert flat out the back. That you're not normal, that you are a freak. And if they want to dance in your waters, then they are invited to. And honestly, if they want to draw the line, then we can also be quite civil. In fact, also, this is why I also have a lot of women in my life that'll say, "You're the nicest pervert I've ever thought." I know, or something like that. And it's like, yeah, basically. And maybe then it is time to reassess your opinion of what you would consider a pervert, or what you would consider the norm for a pervert. Because I'm not going to say I'm normal. In fact, I'm quite glad I'm not. I understand the normal range, and it's not for me. The normal spectrum is very nice, and God bless America. It's what we run on. But I'm not that. I'm a pervert, and also I'm a proud pervert. I am not a LGBTQ whatever, but I'm not what I call one of the Scrabble fuckers, because I also refuse to politicize this. I don't think people have to kowtow to my particular quirks. I'm tough enough to last it out on my own and deal with the repercussions of my own actions. My personality, I'm pretty damned happy. In fact, actually, this is kind of why I like doing this stuff. It's more excuses to throw myself into my work. I just wish I had the time, more hours in the day, or a little bit more, a better motor in me, so I could DeGrasse is a smart man, and yes, I started doing that. Hell, one of my, this is more from Rufus, guys, listeners, hell, one of my newest female friends has dubbed me King of Perverts, because she asked me what cosplay she should do. My first question to her was, what is your breast size? She was howling in laughter. After that, I learned she was an H cup. And fucking see, the people who are going to, and here's the thing, usually with cosplay, the people that are going to go out of their way to show off their bodies to begin with. And this is the thing also, I don't get so much the cosplay is not consent thing. Not that I don't think that, oh yeah, people shouldn't be touched, blah, 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 harassment policy, blah, 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 assault. No, what I don't get is how the women who are doing this do not have this self-confidence. And that's the thing. You go to the Renaissance Festival and some gal will grab you by the back of your head and jam your face into her cleavage in the bodice, because it's in a bodice, and the rest of the time she's going in around and just like boring cover up everything, t-shirts and whatnot, right? And waggle back and forth a bit, because it's Renaissance Festival, because we get into these places and we start acting up and acting out. These are a little mini Mardi Gras, and the idea of putting everybody on their toes and paranoid kills the notion. And kills that sense of freedom that women often will have. There's a reason why every girl who wears a cami white outfit from Street Fighter 2 will not mind turning tail for that little wind pose and wiggling her ass at you for the photo. Is because that outfit is the thing that's that is her magic feather, like in Dumbo, that is giving her the confidence to wiggle her ass in public, because she's got the awesome of cami white. It is a big confidence booster for a lot of these gals. So yeah, of course, a gal isn't gonna, Kato, that you just wait till your body starts falling apart like mine has been. Oh no, I'm probably well already there, unfortunately. Yeah, we're all getting up there. You just then you just start dressing as an old wizard. Right? Or you buy your way into my comic, and that way you automatically have somebody to dress as the cameo character. Let's see, where the hell is the wood? There it is. Of course, I've been passed over it a couple of times. Well, and I'm at that level, Kato, saying, this is Rufus, I'm only 30, but I'm always in pain and sore. Shit, how the last Renfor I was at, and I managed to, okay. At last Renfor you were at, you managed to get a little, had the princess of the land beg me. She said I was, oh my goodness. And it's kind of funny, you're talking about your body being in constant pain. It's ironic that men who say, "Oh my God, my back and my knees and I'm in constant pain," you guys can still fuck, can't you? You still find a way to do that. We are Tyrannosaurus Rexes. We're unstoppable if it comes to that. We're men. She said it was a Viking from the north because my beard and hair, and that I was carrying a large axe and was wearing leather. Of course. Yes, hail the Vikings. Let's see. We're men in tights. Tights. Better the men in kilts. The ladies just really seem to go nuts about that. And that's kind of the funny thing I always joke about, too, is, one of my meninist tweets was that, to the parody hashtag Meninism was, why can a girl walk around in a short skirt, and she automatically expects nobody to harass her, and yet every time I wear my kilt at Dragon Con, there's the leaf blower. It's like going obvious, and funny thing is that of course is actually referencing something that happens, that it's always consensual that she does this. But there's a gal that is famous for doing these photo things of her chasing around guys in kilts with leaf blowers for calendars and charity calendars and whatnot. It's a big huge joke, but there's the thing too, is there's different expectations in the modern age, and it's kind of and it's hilarious, kind of backfiring. But if you guys want to go into some dark territory, Kato, the last Renfest I was at, I was in a tunic wearing a Lorica segmentats and carrying a gladius and scutum. Aha, nice. Most of the times I go, I just wear street clothes. I really don't have the money to build up a big costume all the time, unfortunately, and I can usually only go 1 weekend a year, and I'm so less and less interested in going there nowadays. I mean, just Tim Hortons puts out soup in a bread bowl, and it just kills the whole experience for you, doesn't it? And I'm not a heavy drinker, although I do like the mead now. But what I'm noticing is, but really, so much of it nowadays is just shopping. Oh shit! Oh, goddamn. Yeah, there's cupboards. You know what? I've got to fucking delete this right here, and I've got to completely rework part of this from another page, because this is a drawing rack in book 3. And look at all these little things I got to do for the sake of continuity. I just make the whole process, or I can just erase the whole fucking thing, can't I, and ignore it. Pretend it didn't exist. File save. Kato can't go out on more because he can't afford to. Yeah, I know. It's so much of it is like, so much of Renfest is just a big shopping mall outdoors. So if you're really not into shopping, there's so little reason to go. Isn't there? That's the thing. Not good, not bad, but that's just the way it is. So unless you're somebody who's like, oh, has to be hitting up the stores. You know what? Make that 6 instead. Why is it doing this? No. And 4. I think I want to alter the pants. Oh, suggesting Rufus, sweet. If I was a con with Yukata, we would match. I have a kilt covered in Haruhi buttons. Ben would be a werewolf at Bryn Fair. He's a hairy man, almost a Wookiee. Not me so much, man. You seen me my new haircut, man. I shaved it all off. Yeah, Kato being on a fixed income, I understand that. Probably gonna fix my own damn income shortly. And what's really going on with and honestly, the thing is Renaissance Festival is going on often at the same damn time that the haunt season is full up and running, and there's so much more variety and so many more places to go that's what I'm really more attracted to right now. So I'd rather hit up like a half dozen such places. Boop, boop. Oh wait, no, I want that. Yeah. Boop. Screwing all this up. And let me. Yeah, I think we're all broke bastards. Oh. Well, good luck with this. Good luck with shaving your head. Let me... Actually, Rufus, what I was thinking of and suggesting recently was going as a pack of war boys, because you know, just paint your torso white and face and like the ones that were in the long shots. Have your head shaved. God, it really took me this long to figure out how to use a stroke tool. That's embarrassing. Rufus pointed out he's fucking pale like chalk. I wouldn't need to paint myself. He ain't being a hermit. Oh man, then we are going to be war boys! And see, this is the great part, is like it would be such a cheap way to even do just a background version of one where it's not even really detailed or even that good, but you get everybody for a Mad Max photo shoot and you got like one Max cosplayer, one Furiosa cosplayer, and then everybody else is just a bunch of guys without their shirts on painted white. It's like, oh, it'll still look great. For Valhalla! Eternally yours, shiny and chrome. Remember me, boys, 'cause Valhalla's my home. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out a song parody to Florida Georgia lines. This is how we roll to this is Fury Row. Oh, 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 oh. We light it up with the war. This is how we roll. Oh. But let me start off. Okay, here's another video. PhantomQueenOne is the name of the channel. MRAs and RADFems is the name of the video, and there's just it's only a few minutes, but damn, what goes on in it is worth talking about. There's this. It's only a talking head again, woman, old lady, oldish looking lady, talking into her webcam as so many people want to do for basically the majority of the content. the break's over. Back to the serious.
I got into an argument with this bonehead that I know.
Oh, that's a lot of us, really, when you think about it. I mean, that's what's making YouTube go round nowadays. You start basically starting all these beefs with other people and randomly and or over any ideological topic, and hopefully the resulting e-traumas will get you a few monetizing hits.
He goes by several usernames. The one I know him best for is Stizor. Not only did I not like him on the first case because he fucking never shuts up.
Say the people getting into long-winded internet fights. I know I'm right here, one finger pointing out, three fingers pointing in, but I'm taking a whiff, smelling my own, you know?
As Foghorn Leghorn from Looney Tunes said, that boy talks so much he get his tongue sunburned. And
actually, I liked Groucho Marx's, must have been vaccinated with a phonograph needle.
Not only I know he was a conspiracy theorist, nut job, but I also find out that he's an absolute woman hater.
I mean, well, you know, until you added woman hater, I thought she was going to mention that the guy bought into some patriarchy that is out to oppress all women. Because that's certainly not one of the looniest fucking conspiracy theories available.
Unfortunately, that when it comes right down to it, the reason why a lot of men are women haters, besides that they've been treated badly, which I'm sorry for.
Well, that could be, yeah, just a situation once burned, twice learned, or it could be the perception of what you're viewing as criticism as hate. That's not always the same thing. And admittedly, things like sarcasm is an abuse, even though I do tend to view that probably is a very fine line, and just give it time. This is why I'm immediately repelled by women on OkCupid who mention that the first thing that you'll notice about them is their sarcastic sense of humor. I would suggest find another sense of humor.
But they're MRAs. They think the world.
That would be MRAs, not MRAers. MRA, this is nitpicking, but I know this is the kind of thing that Spinosaurus Kin would, that little funny little Nero would go on about men's rights advocacy, men's rights advocates. MRAers would be men's rights advocators, which is just weird non-English.
Owes them a living, and women should be their served.
Wait. Let's go back a second, though.
Owes them a living, and women treated badly, which I'm sorry for.
Okay.
But they're MRAs. They think the world owes them a living, and women.
And there we've got the first serious flaw in this woman's arguments and commentary. Owes a living. Meaning that she thinks that people are owed jobs, that people are owed money simply for existing. I mean, our society goes out of the way to support those who, in theory, can't help themselves or are having problems, right? But here's another point of that: men's rights advocacy is about ensuring equal rights for men where there are clear gaps. The right to bodily integrity, i.e. the circumcision argument. I've got a few friends on Facebook who I hadn't really paid attention to before who are quite vocal about this nowadays, especially in the light of the recent Florida case. It is the right to fair trials, to not be convicted prematurely, like one teenage boy was recently when it was found out a bunch of girls had falsely accused him a year ago of raping them, of being a serial rapist, because he was, of all things, burning their advances, as it was later found out on social media. They were doing this out of spite in an attempt in way of bullying him. Or, of course, the more infamous Emma Sulkowicz case, where this woman goes in for anal, decides and when the guy decides that he's got to just spend more time studying and stops calling it back, she cries rape. Now, when her because she doesn't have any evidence, and because the police end up having access to communications where she's telling him that or that she wants to get back, wants to hook up with him again and wants to have more of a relationship, and then she calls the police, they dismiss the charges. There's no evidence that he raped her. Well, of course, after trying to fucking ruin him twice through the official channels, she then decides to do an unofficial one by dragging a goddamn mattress around and filming a porno. But no, there's nothing in men's rights advocacy that says that men are just supposed to be given money randomly by the fucking government. And that's the thing, is there's so much in feminism that says that the government needs to break out more for women randomly, even if now there has to be more scholarships for women, there has to be more quotas for women, even if it's swung so hard now that you have industries that cannot find qualified people because they're forced to continuously lower the bar to allow women who are unqualified for positions to get in the door, simply because they're women. Men aren't asking for that shit. Feminists are asking for more quotas, for more handouts, for a bigger, more expansive government and a police state that will keep them safe from the fears of their own paranoia. There's so much wrong in the statement, in the notion, in the accusation that people think that they are owed a fucking living. But when you when you're a socialist, when you're a cultural Marxist, when you sign on to a big government theory, basically you're going to relegate your thought patterns to basically everyone else just wants control of the money. Everyone else must also want what I want, which is first hit off the tit. So of course she makes this projecting argument. And honestly, there's not much to say that MRAs are actually... honestly, it's funny that there's a lot of women in men's rights advocacy who are not being abused themselves, but are seeing that other people are getting victimized and having some natural empathy for other human beings. Other people are... and it's not about getting treated by dirt for women or believing that you have access to women. Shit. One of the offshoots now, one of the off-branches of the manosphere is MGTOW. An entire group that says no to women. Who just says, no, we don't want anything to do with women in general. Or at the very least, we refuse to marry or form permanent relationships because the nature of contracted relationships are so stacked against men, because there is no legal parity in the divorce courts, in the family settlement courts. And that's what's going on here. You have the main providers of the infrastructure being shat upon by the government. It's not about getting a handout. It's about getting someone to step off their fucking neck.
Men should be their servant, bodyguard. They think that they can do whatever they want and to women, and it's all right, Just like...
I mean, honestly, no, I don't. I'm not even sure what the hell that sentence was about to be. I mean, I'm guessing there's a projection that there's supposed to be that they're supposed to be able to get away with doing whatever they want to women. That they're supposed to be like high times and throwing women over their shoulder, Viking style. And no, what it's saying is men should have due process. hey, if you're going to have rape shield laws that refuse to name the victim, you should probably also refuse to name the attackers until somebody has been proven a liar or somebody has been proven guilty of a crime. Especially when the accusation itself is so much to damage a reputation. And there's plenty of channels that show the news, that are collecting the news reports of what happens to a young man under a false accusation. Or how about we address the levels of male homelessness? How about we address male suicide? How about we... But so much of feminism is literally saying things like he for she. Why men will be improved if they only help women more than they already are.
One of my ex-boyfriends, he thought he could get away with doing anything he wanted to me, and if I refused, he would smack the shit out of me. And if I didn't want to have sex, he'd hold me down and take it anyway.
And this is awful. But now we see, well, shit, this is Bar One's law in action again. Her experiences as men, she's using the tar. She's using a poisoned M&M's analogy here and assuming that people who are against feminism, which might have helped her out in the past somehow, is because they're against the excesses of a political system that they are obviously for or trying to promote something bad that happened to her way back when. And here's another thing. Here's going to be me being a cruel bastard by bringing up another uncaring bastard. Tom Likas often pointed out that it takes two to tango. It takes two to tango in abusive relationships. There is that thing called codependency, and people actively go out women actively go out seeking the guy that does this to them. I'm sorry to say, but for whatever was in her life, in her mind at that time, there was an emotional or psychological need, a satisfaction that she was deriving from the relationship until she reached the point of actually leaving it. That is, if somebody else didn't force her to come to her senses and intervene on her behalf. But now she assumes that all guys are going to do this. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised, this bar was long, and this wouldn't be a surprise if she saw out this in other guys too, or converted other men into doing this, because they're without cognitive therapy, without persistent emotional investigation, she's still going to have the same attraction to those types of people. Hell, she could switch to lesbian and she would still be attracted to abusers.
I knew that if I didn't, he'd beat the hell out of me. Cops wouldn't do a damn thing. So when it comes right down to, oh, you're a feminist, oh, you're a RADFem, and I'm like, no. I have basically the same opinion of RADFems as I do MRAers. They're loons.
And that's part of the problem. You're going to take the most radical examples of your own movement, and you're also going to say that there's an equivalency between the entirety of another movement. And even still, she isn't talking about what the MRA is. She's grossly misrepresented the MRA. Not the MRA, the men's rights advocacy, but this men's human rights movement. When we talk about when they talk about, how fathers are often vindictively cut off from their families during a divorce. This shit isn't about petty revenge, and this shit isn't about trying to lord over women, and it's certainly not about trying to drag America back to some vision of the 50s. Shit. Guys don't want gynocentrum. These guys don't want to be the permanent, self-destroying provider role either. And there's a lot of them from all corners political spectrum from what I've observed. Although most of them tend towards, on the authoritarian libertarian spectrum, towards libertarian. But once again, you know, the laws in action. Here she is talking about going back to the poison well, going back to the few represent the all again. And admittedly, it's kind of funny because as much as the not all feminists are like that argument gets into, and to the point where it gets cut down to nay faults or nay walls down, women are like that. God damn it. That's not the problem. The problem is the ones with the bullhorn, and oddly enough, the ones with the bullhorn are the most popular people who are pro-men's rights or most prominent anti-feminists that I've been watching, at least. The people that I mentioned, like Dr. Randall Cannon and Sargon Khan and whatnot, tend to be very rational, level-headed, and even-handed human beings. And I'm not sure where all this views of hate is coming from. Possibly the comment trolls. But here's the thing. The people who are actually setting up the videos, like Tildeer and doing the research, if they're not the ones who if they don't even know about your damn channel, then they're not the ones that are getting into these tete-a-tetes with you. And I don't have anything, and this is just going off of what you're saying, lady, but god damn it. You're talking about your tiffs with one individual online with multiple accounts, therefore kind of implying a childish troll, and you're falling for a hook, line, and sinker. Rufus mentioning that shit right now. Where's the... Oh shit, what is this? Talking about these guys, you know, two guys talking about their service records and yeah, disabilities that left them with.
I am more of a middle of the road person. I personally think that
skunks.
Men and women should be treated equally, besides the normal biology part, which is
oddly enough not what feminism is about at this point, is it? Especially if you're talking about the biology part, because god damn it, women are continuously in the military, in firefighting, in police work. Women's advocates are constantly pressuring municipal departments and no less than the U.S. military to lower fucking standards to allow women to serve who can't keep up. And the people that are getting pissed off the most at this are the women who could make it under the previously established guidelines. The ones who know that it's not for people who can't hack it because the high pressure. I mean, you guys are both talking about how the military service has done a number on both your bodies. My buddy Morgan has got bad knees from his time in the Navy, and he never even managed to get deployed. All that happened, I think, to him still when he was in main training. That his knees went bad on him. If anything, because I was never very athletic, that's the only thing that saved my pudgy butt. Even though I'm damn near 300 pounds myself. I'm like 250.
But people like RADFems and MRAs think that, again, they think the world owes them a living.
And there's that assertion, again, that everybody else must be out for a handout. Because when you believe in a political system that's all about giving everybody blanket handouts or all about your special interest group getting a hold of the cash, you assume that everybody else wants the same government cheese. And holy shit, then you have people who are on it and saying, this is a horrible system. I would, if I didn't have to be on this, I wouldn't. Such a fucking annoying way to view this argument.
No, not so. MRAs don't deserve to beat women down, and RADFems don't deserve to beat.
And yet again, there's this assertion that these guys must be out to beat women down, as opposed to lifting man up. Why the hell is it that there is an assumption? Here's another fallacy. She's going according to the crab bucket. She thinks that there's only a certain size pie and everybody's going after their piece, or that she's assuming a zero-sum game, that positive rights for one group of people must mean negative rights for another group of human beings. When men's rights advocates are worried about the sentencing gap, how women will get a lighter sentence than men will for the same crimes, and how many of these crimes, if you're somebody like me, like a libertarian, are you saying so many of these crimes are stupid and unenforceable, we shouldn't be locking away people, male or female, for years on what is essentially opt-in bullshit? Because of what, a perception that it renders people less productive as a citizen? I mean, part of the problem is we've expanded the welfare state that was used to be with, people who are essentially crippled physically, and instead extended to people who are literally just searching through the couch cushions for problems. This is why we have to have people investigating people who are making workman's comp claims in the hopes of catching them doing something that they shouldn't be physically able to do. And how often do they get people? Because so many people feel free to cheat the fucking system. This crab bucket mentality, that everybody's going to be pulling each other down. That the attempt to get up yourself means that you're inevitably pushing somebody else down, which isn't true. It's a false analogy. It's a false equivalency.
Beat men down. And a lot of people think, oh, you're a horrible person because you don't live the Ozzy and Harriet 50s lifestyle and you talk back to men and guys.
Amazingly, guys like myself, the TFLers, the Truly Forced Loneliness, as you can see here, or the MGTOWs and shit, we don't want Ozzy and Harriet either. Red pill men view the 50 stereotype of the world to be a dismal, bleak existence where gynocentrism demanded that you sacrifice your life and your joy for an ultimately unappreciative family. As it stands, when you see me going on about, hey, I'm working a 16-hour double shift again, that's because I want to get a little drawing done at work or something, on the midnight shift or something. This is because I want to work for myself, no one else. And when you see these young men nowadays that aren't getting the deep in career paths, when you see what's going on in Japan with the grass eaters, if they don't need to lift that burden, why should they? What should compel them to sacrifice, to view themselves as disposable, a utility of the state? It's not about denying other people their rights. It's about the freedom to walk away, the freedom to say no.
yada, yada, yada. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
So
when it comes down to, oh, you're a horrible RADFemer, I'm like, just because I think men and women should be equal, that makes me a horrible person. Seriously,
no,
what
your
the
misrepresentations
fuck is wrong with you?
of other people is what makes you
I'm 52.
Yeah.
I go with the old style feminist that men and women should be equal.
It's
what a horrible concept.
Or did you because you got a swelled or was this guy who treated you this way one of those self-appointed anointed supporters or the believers of the women's lib back in the day, as you called it? And was that how he was able to get away with this shit for so long? I mean, not a little details in your story. And maybe I'm just adding things in. But just like this seems to be endemic. And the bad political theory that you started out on is what leaves you and younger women like JJ open to this bullshit. Because, you don't want to hurt a movement. Because you're getting hurt. Meanwhile, there's an entire movement of guys who are hurt and then for moving on out. And oh my God, no, they shouldn't have the right to do that. And you're going to straw man them. And compare them to TERFs and SWERFs and scums. The RADFem shit didn't start in the third wave. That was started early with the woman who shot Andy Warhol. Once again, proving that being a man is far more dangerous than being a woman. And yet our society goes out of its way to protect you, even from yourself at times. There are now laws and policies in action that if a woman starts filing charges that she can't, or that the police have to go forward, and they, even if she tries to retract them, and I think it was in Canada they're doing this, just so she can't change her mind, and try to reconcile, just so she can't be convinced into going back into an abusive, in order to protect her from her fucking self. And how is it feminist to have a bunch of politicians who claim feminism out to protect, to infantilize women? How is that what you believed in, what you profess? And at some point, you had chosen a guy that was doing that. Were you a feminist before or after you picked this guy? And if you only picked feminism, you only became a feminist because of the way this one guy treated you, this one bad decision of yours that you opted into freely in your capricious youth, well, then how the hell shouldn't that cause you to question a lot more of your assumptions? Not double down harder.
Yeah. But seriously, what the fuck is wrong with people on YouTube? Every time you hear something like on TYT saying,
oh, there'll be your big mistake right there. You're listening to the Young Turks. Are those the same guys that one MRA, Elliot Rodger, listened to? Oh, wait, no, he's not an MRA. He never said anything about the men's rights movement. He's been merely used to smear them, but one of his few channel subscriptions was to the Young Turks. He was a feminist. He was a male ally who thought he had a right to women. In his videos, in that creepy robotic voice of his, he decried women who didn't know his natural superiority and how he was the good guy until, well, he became the bad guy because he could only value himself through feminine approval. An approval that way, well, he never really had the social skills or the indoctrination again. And oddly enough, part of that is just the problem of modern society that doesn't even teach baseline interactions or have social little setting classes or sets. You know, I'm not even sure if they do school dances anymore, let alone kind of cotillions of how about we sit down at tea and try polite conversations and such. No, it's just throw a bunch of young hormonal people into the room and shake up and hope for the best, right? Play some shitty dance music and let them bump and grind on the dance floor, and then if a couple of them become pregnant and a couple at 14 or something, well, we did give them teach them how to roll on a condom, so we're absolved, aren't we, for not teaching them about human relationships in general, or even what the hell is going on with themselves psychologically.
This woman demanded a lot of money out of this billionaire oil baron.
Money that she did not really work to earn. You can tell because she was not into working because she married a billionaire oil baron. Quite frankly, if you're going to say this is somehow that the MRAs are dancing, though, in the streets over her not getting cut off from the millions or only after a few million, well, that's a shitty argument. That's a shitty kind of torch to carry anyways. You're not carrying the torch for this group, these people. You're carrying a poo-covered stick that's on fire.
So that obviously makes the woman a whore and a slut and a gold digger and...
Well, gold digger, yes. That's what the term specifically means. That's why it came about. I mean, trading youth and beauty for money is a fairly common occurrence. I mean, really, there's a biological imperative behind that, isn't there? Not only that, but it's hardly a bad thing. Damn it, if you've got no real drives in life other than to, well, maintain a certain physique and physical appearance, then more power to you. If you can go out, I mean, if all you are really into is looking beautiful and maybe put in a couple of beautiful kids reasonably attractive kids on this planet, then really, that's more power to you. I mean, everybody has to arrive here at some point. The world must be peopled, as they say.
Then you get all these MRA or nut jobs that, I swear, the reason why they're in a lot of cases is they can't fucking get laid without paying a woman. Seriously. That is why.
Of course, there's many that would argue that, I mean, the entire point of MGTOW is that all sex is a act in paying for a woman. Whether you're slipping her a few 20s under the table or if you're going to work 60 hours a week to put food on her table. And in fact, wasn't one of the fucking early women's rights arguments that against marriage was that it was just legalized prostitution? Not that I don't think prostitution should be illegal to begin with. As George Carlin put it, selling is legal, fucking is legal. Why isn't selling fucking legal? We can certainly go through third parties to have the same experience, or even if we wanted to set ourselves up as a photographer and pay a woman to be nude for us for our own pleasure. My goodness, we could certainly take photos of that. We can even theoretically film and release videos of sex. In fact, we could, even if we wanted to, we could star in those videos if we felt personally confident enough. And yet there's not a right to a private transaction. And that's because it benefits women, not men. Having that legalized artificially raises the scarcity of, well, not anymore. And there's so many other arguments that could be discussed on that, on how there's a bizarre hypocrisy among feminists in regards to sex. But we kind of get the gist of you being a sex negative because of your bad experience or experiences. or at least your purported history of abuse. I'm not there investigating the court documents and looking at the newspaper clippings.
These men are such jackasses because they can't get laid. Like that one asshole that went into this college and murdered.
And there she is, mistakenly calling Elliot Rodger an MRA. Even though he never spoke out on men's rights in any way, even though he was a fucking subscriber to the Young Fucking Turks, which she herself says that she's a subscriber to. He's one of those evil MRAs because he believed that he deserved to get laid. Because he believed that other people were not able to see whatever good qualities he had, even though, and I've pointed out on his videos, he had no good qualities. He was literally in his videos saying, "I've got sunglasses and I've got a BMW. You're supposed to like me." For Christ's sakes, this is what that California materialism, this is what this trust fund baby fucking materialism does to people. All my clothes have to be from the right stores at the mall. All my shoes have to be the latest version of an Air Jordan, even if I'm going to get shot over them. There's this story recently about an all-boys high school in the Chicagoland area, I believe it is, predominantly black. It's like a high school in one of the worst near some of the worst areas, and they take kids, young boys from others, and it's all young men going to this high school. It's an all-male public high school with 100% graduation rate and 100% acceptance rate into colleges. It's kind of funny that when you force the boys to put on a school uniform and take away the distraction of girls when they're at their most vulnerable and their most hormonal, how much they achieve without women around. It can give, not giving a fuck about whether or not you are fucking, can give a man a wonderful focus on the world. If he doesn't distract himself with video games. I mean, admittedly, shit. I did complete Assassin's Creed Black Flag finally, and so I won't be letting that get in the way. I can fight, or can restrain myself from all these other video games. Thankfully, I can refuse the thirst, even though I got to get my tablet repaired. Especially when I got a bunch of drawing to do, including drawings for the aforementioned Gen Con.
A bunch of people because the blonde whores and sluts didn't realize his worth. They didn't realize your worth because you were a fucking creep.
They didn't realize his worth because his worth was in material things, which is oddly enough shocking that didn't work. I mean, you have to watch Elliot Rodger's videos and listen to his robotic intonation, his unenthusiastic and unemotional nature, right up until he hit that boiling point and went on his rampage. But even there, he sounded so upset and pedantic. But it was because nobody had really told him. Nobody had really supplied him and raised him to have a core. He was from his dad was a B unit director on the Hunger Games. He was supposed to be running with this Hollywood in crowd, right? He was supposed to be on the sets of movies and stuff, and that was supposed to be enough for a wantonly materialistic assumption of society. And yet, oddly enough, he wasn't that far off, was he? Shit. You can see how broken we are as a society by how little people still want to address kind of how he got there. Between the insanity that slipped through the crack, the emotional instability that slipped through the cracks. The assumptions that were made upon his mental health, because even people weren't paying it. People even close to him apparently weren't paying attention. And of course, then isn't it also interesting that she mentions the blonde women that he had come to loathe, and how much he just thought he deserved to get laid, and yet she doesn't mention that he killed twice as many men as he did. He had twice as many of his rivals than he did the objects of his desire. He killed 3 roommates. He killed a young man in a store. And yet that shit never... This is an old video, admittedly. She's like 6-7 months old video here that I had just been clued into. But this is the common thread among the feminist reaction. You had 2 women die, 4 men, and yet you're still saying this was all about women. When this was about him taking out the rivals. Or what he perceived. A tournament model in extremis. And it's because our society actually no longer has, well, any rules or any expectations. There's a few pickup artists that'll teach you how to neurohack and stuff, but we certainly don't have an understanding of what relationships are going to be. There's no consensus anymore about what the hell is supposed to be going on, and no wonder things have gotten so confused, and the smart guys have walked away entirely. And have just decided to see to themselves and what they can do to preserve themselves. To preserve their own longevity. And it's not that you can't have women as friends. Certainly not friends with... Certainly nothing against having them as friends with benefits. But when the legal issues of marriage are stacked against you, when putting a ring on that finger gives a woman the right to turn you into a homeless person, well then, fuck it. We're not going to put a ring on that finger. Nobody's going to do that. Except for the guys that are desperate enough to only view themselves, their self-worth, as to whether or not somebody else pats them on the fucking head and gives them a vagina. And no wonder when you send that message, ladies, that you end up with guys who get pissed off about getting friend zoned, who get pissed off about not getting, or you create men that will view you as a vending machine that dispenses vagina when you put in kindness. And oddly enough, because, and here's the thing, women should, it's another tangent, but women who get upset about being accused of friend zoning guys, or get pissed off because guys lament about being friend zoned, are pissed because they're getting caught out in treating a male as a utility. Because there's certainly nothing that men get. Men get far more out of friendships with other men than we do with other women. Part of a bizarre thing of friendship between men is we often view it as shared tasks and endeavors. Working on a car together when it's on the fritz, or yard work, helping somebody move and clear, and yet it's often these physical tasks that women are not going to have any part of. And yet what do women view as? We're going to just talk about our feelings and all the things that upset us. And the funny thing is, the linear problem-solving side of a man's brain will listen to a woman voicing her problems and start coming up with solutions naturally, because we're logical like that. We regard the world as a series of objective markers to hit. That's why video games are we're so into video games. We view the world itself kind of on that level. objectives and things to be problems to be resolved. And when women just want to share emotions, they get upset at men who start listening to their problems and then offering logical solutions that would actually fix the problem. But a woman was more interested in having a problem and having a reason to complain. And many women get addicted, or they get emotionally invested into that which gives them pain, like a guy that smacks him around. Because some people, dysfunctional people, like the drama. Whereas men want a problem resolved, want placidity, want rest, want peace, want to go fishing, want to get away from it all, want to have something to come back home to.
Of course they didn't want to have sex with you. Did it ever occur to people like that?
Did it ever occur to women that they ever had anything to give other than sex? Because I would really like to see it at this point. I'd really like to see it. Women are so upset, even old women like this one, postmenopausal women like this one, women who've hit the wall are so upset. Oh, men just want his sex. Well, no, we do want more than sex. Clearly men want more than sex, but why aren't women offering more than that?
They could probably have more luck with women if they weren't utter assholes, you know.
And of course she says this after she says women you'd get more further with women if you weren't other assholes, when she admits to being in a long-term abusive relationship that included possible spousal or possible in relationship coerced sex. Why did you stay in with that? Oh, because it was what you wanted, lady, at the time. So obviously the asshole strategy so works that we should all be appalled at some dark part of human nature that has those crossed wires where women will seek that, and men who might not even be that naturally to their nature. Because through emotional manipulation and emotional abuse, a woman can turn a man who isn't an abuser into an abuser if that's what she wants him to be. And you are in that, and you're saying that it doesn't work? Well, lady, it did on you until you came to some senses, or somebody brought you to your senses. And even now, you clearly don't have everything. You're not firing on all 8 cylinders. If you're making these wild mischaracterizations of MRAs, if you're making these conspiratorial assumptions. And yet, damn it, here you are saying to guys, don't be the asshole. Well, just ignore what I said in the beginning of this video about fucking an asshole. Because I was, and probably before that one, the real superhuman asshole, I was probably fucking lesser assholes. Because I will refuse, and I'm 52 and I'm still refusing to own my shit.
But saying, I'm a nice guy, while all the world...
Well, all the world, this ties back into what on the first video, on the previous videos, in the previous sessions that I was dissecting. All the time, god damn it. Yeah, saying nice guys get into predators? And yet you're also accusing the MRAs of being the ones complaining they're nice guys, when this is bar one's law. Negative feminist assertions regarding masculine behavior stems solely from their interactions with male feminist allies, with white knight manginas, with the I'm a nice guy who smack you around then, huh? Shit, this is appalling, but here it is. And of course she's shaming you for declaring yourself to be nice guys and saying that you're assholes because it took her 5 decades to notice this, didn't it? You know, the young girls like JJ Talks and stuff, they're still right in the middle of it. And of course she's yelling at guys because it's a lot easier to yell at guys than to give the young girls advice. Because giving the young girls advice, you'd have to expose feminism for what it is. A hunting ground for ideological predators.
Treating women like fucking shit. You have no luck with women because you're...
Well, treating women like fucking shit, that is... You get out of relationships what you put into them, and you get out of relationships what you sought out of a relationship. You only end a relationship when you're not getting what you want. And that's what makes abuse so awful, because there is a part of the person, there's part of the victim that wants this, does, because something in their wiring will equate all the awfulness or whatever with love. Because most people are just trying to reenact their childhood. They go out and play house for the rest of their life because this is what we imprinted on. This is what we kind of grew up with, right? And depending on what you grew up with, you can create some very awful situations. The more self-aware will at least go through the esoteric idea of sealing themselves off. Or at least we'll put brakes on. I'm merely a shopper who's dissatisfied with the products on the market. Not that I haven't sampled a few. Or more than a few.
An asshole! It's very plain and simple. So, there's my opinion
easy
on both RADFems and MRAs. They're both jerks!
And yet, you didn't touch on feminism's perceived sins. Yeah, you say they're both jerks, but you don't even cite false examples of how radical feminists are in the wrong. You can't even think of one of their sins to list. So really, this was just you coming down on the MRA and trying to say, "Oh, I'm balanced. I'm not a RADFem because look, I'll denounce in name only in the lightest form possible a extreme of feminism, and yet I won't say how any of them are extreme, in my opinion." I'll just go by the standard feminist talking points with Bar One's fallacy, or not Bar One's law, but Bain's law of bringing up blaming Elliot Rodger for as an MRA, to use him to smear people who are going after just a handful of fairly simple ways, adjustments to the way we look at the world.
How is that difficult to understand? Seriously. I don't know. For fuck's sake. Jesus Christ, you
For
get
fuck's
the
sake,
fuck over it.
Indeed.
And when I point that out to the MRA community, that you're being treated like this because you're an asshole.
There's one guy that you're interacting with.
And you're whore, and like,
God damn.
no, you're an asshole, so you don't get any luck in the sack. Not hard to figure out, really.
Lady. Oh. This lady wished she got that in kind of attention from guys anymore. Well, that's the end of that video. Thank goodness. Sad ranting. And honestly, it's so damn late. I'm going to call it quits tonight. And as you can see, we got a, well, good portion into 507 too. Which feels pretty good. Even though I'm clearly got to add and cut up other panels. Oh. Good night, kiddo. Good night, Rufus. Thank you for joining in. Thanks for thinking I have anywhere decent points on this stuff, Rufus. I'm gonna try and do this stuff a lot more often. Basically, I'm not gonna go for ones where they're bringing up charts and statistics. I know either I'm going for low-hanging fruit, but I don't want to be whipping around things and pushing on. But I don't want to have to be bringing up charts and stuff to debunk one size things, debunking back and forth all the time. But seriously, there's so many of them just like talking heads making assertions that shit I can do off the cuff and I can draw at the same time. And hopefully we'll get through these pages pretty quick and we'll get some artwork done, and I'll give you guys some stuff to enjoy. And maybe even grow a little YouTube presence and live stream presence eventually. And as for saying, thanks for joining me again, you guys, tonight. I don't know if I'm going to stream tomorrow night. Might. I'll have to hunt down some more videos, possibly, or just do some more stuff in my regular day. Actually, I probably got to run over to... Probably should run over to Palladium tomorrow during the day before work, so I can get some stuff looked at and approved. But as usual, if I'm closing down the stream, let me mention again, my name is Ben Rodriguez, aka Bar1 Scorpio. Very unafraid to announce myself. BAR, the number 1 Scorpio, SCORPIO, on Patreon, on Twitter, on LiveJournal, on DeviantArt, Hentai Foundry, and Fur Affinity. Check out my artwork, check out the webcomic, peteristhewolf.com. Check out Bar1 Scorpio on YouTube even, and you'll also see me on live stream as well. And thanks. Good night. To stop button.